Here's what's happened, and this is the massive new danger as of yesterday, an executive order by Donald J. Trump, and by a minimum analysis will put the number of voters who will be purged from the voter rolls under this will be 21 million voters are going to lose their vote. Here's some of the headlines of it. First of all, Elon Musk, it specifically says the administrator of DOGE will have access to every state's voter file in America for the purpose of hunting illegal alien voters and multiple voters. So now we're going to have literally Elon Musk dancing through our voter rolls. The most dangerous part of the whole bill, of course, which has gotten the only one that's gotten attention so far, is that you're going to be required to prove you're a citizen in order to register to vote. And if you're registered to vote, remember 31 million Americans re-register because you move out of your county each year. When you re-register, you're going to lose your vote unless you have proof of citizenship. And no, your driver's license is not a proof of citizenship. Only 5 states mark citizenship on real IDs. Military ID, sorry, just because you're serving your country, just because you're walking around with going around in a wheelchair because you served your country, you don't get to vote with your military ID. And women, remember the two main ways to prove you're a citizen are a passport and birth certificate. 69 million American women don't have their name on their birth certificate because they've changed their names upon marriage. Only 1 in 3 black people have passports. Do you think that Trump knew that statistics? In fact, less than half of white Americans have passports. So you have to see who they are targeting. Now, this is all to stop alien voters, which we haven't found any. Chris Kobach, first of all, by the way, Donald Trump went on a massive campaign to find alien and double voters in the 4 years he was in office under his vote fraud czar, Chris Kobach. They didn't find one. I mean, not one. You're talking about more than 1 billion ballots cast. In 2016, the state of Florida used the immigration files. That's the other thing that's in this bill, Tom. I don't mean to filibuster, but there's so many bad things. I got to get through it. One of the things that's just a lot of stuff that's not been noticed, including the access of Musk to all our voter files. The other thing that hasn't been noticed is that they want to give access. In fact, they've giving access to the immigration files of the Department of Homeland Security. It's called the SAVE files, and to hunt for immigrant voters. So a lot of Luis Garcias are going to lose their vote. I'm not guessing about this because in some years ago, the state of Florida forced the Obama administration to open up the SAVE Homeland Security files. They targeted for removal 172,000 Floridians. 172,000. Turns out only one was an illegal alien voter, an Austrian Republican, by the way, not Arnold. But most of those 172,000 voters lost their vote. The only way they could get it back was for all those Luis Garcias to go into a federal court to prove their citizenship. So this is one of the most dangerous things. And by the way, I got 2 pre-dawn calls, one from the president of the NAACP of Georgia who said, look out, Jim Crow 2.0 is roared out of Georgia into the rest of the country. That's what this is. Mm-hmm. And the state of Georgia is about to purge 466,000 voters, 4 times Trump's supposed victory margin in Georgia. 466,000 voters in Georgia about to lose their vote, and we don't know how many others. And they're I know that the state of Georgia did ask Homeland Security to open those immigration files. And again, they're not finding the alien voters. In other words, if you do find someone committing this crime, put them in prison. You know, Tom, when you rob a bank, they don't close your bank account, they put you in jail. But they know exactly what they're doing. They're not going after alien voters. They're not going after double voters. And by the way, one other footnote on this, just the footnotes on this executive order should scare you. They're talking about bringing back interstate cross-check, which we've discussed many times over the years, which was defeated in federal court. Rainbow Push and the ACLU got it defeated because it targeted over 3 million Americans as potential double voters. but they couldn't find one. But they did remove hundreds of thousands of people from the voter rolls until this legal action reversed the interstate cross-check purge system. But under the new methods that they're using, and especially because they're allowing, they're going to put Musk in charge of this purge operation, it's very, very dangerous. I expect up to 1 million voters to lose their vote that way. 21 million people at the Brennan Center have identified who are American citizens, but just don't have the citizenship ID.
Yeah.
This is the worst thing since, I don't know, since before the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah, and this is already going on in many of the red states, as you point out in Georgia. They've been doing this ever since Stacey Abrams, went after Governor, what's his name, Brian Kemp, and now they're trying to take it national. I mean, this is how red states hold on to power.
They're not going to let people vote. Don't forget, Trump lost Georgia infamously by 11,000 votes.
Right.
In 2020.
They're going to make sure that never happens again.
They will make sure it never happens again, despite the fact that Georgia is becoming now a majority-minority state.
Right.
So the only way that they could hold power is to stop
minority voters.
Voting.
Right, stop minority voters. So a couple of things. First off, my understanding of the 10th Amendment is that lacking federal legislation with regard to voting, it's up to the states to make these decisions about who's on their voting rolls and who isn't. That this executive order on its face is unconstitutional, and that it will be challenged on that basis. Is that the case?
Oh, I spoke actually also another pre-dawn call with Professor Barbara Arnwine, Columbia University Law School, and head of the Transformative Justice Coalition. And she said it's a straight in your face violation of the 10th Amendment. Unfortunately, they can try to get it through Congress. In fact, this executive order is a piece of legislation that they proposed, but they know that there's very little chance of it getting through the Senate.
The SAVE Act.
The SAVE Act. And so what's happened is that he's trying to do it with a pen. And it's, like I say, we have a law professor this morning telling me it's just baldly unconstitutional. I don't know if that's going to stop this. You now have a trumped up court system, and they're using gimmicks to try to get around it by saying, for example, they're just enforcing the federal law, which says only citizens can vote.
Right.
But it's not an enforcement action. You're doing a massive purge and blockade of voter rolls, and they know who they're blocking.
Right. And let's just point out the absurdity of this situation. In the United States right now, if the governor of your state wants to take away your gun, he or she has to go before a judge and prove that there's a good reason for you not to have a gun before they can come to you and take away your gun. But if they want to take away your vote, no problem. No process, no due process, no trial, no appeal, no nothing.
Well, if Elon says that a Luis Garcia voted in Atlanta and Luis Garcia voted in Texas, must be the same Luis Garcia, and he's probably an illegal alien. So, I'm laughing about it, but let's face it, this is truly the greatest threat to voting that I've seen in my 25-year career. There's no question about it.
Yeah, or a Michael Jackson or a Joe Washington or a Joe Madison or whatever. Yeah, I totally get it. No, and this is why they try to do these comparisons. And it's been a while since you've explained this. Why do they want to try to compare the voting roll of Georgia or the voting roll of every state now against the immigration lists, or against, in the case of Florida in 2000, I mean, you broke this story for the BBC, against the Texas felon list. I have just a little less than 1 minute left, Greg.
Okay, 95 out of the 100 most common last names in America, according to the Census Bureau, are minority names like Huang, Nguyen, Johnson, White, et cetera. These are majority minority names, and they know what they're doing by doing name match systems to eliminate voters, saying, again, Luis Garcia votes twice, and one got deported, so it must all be.
And this is because white people draw their last names from literally more than a dozen different languages, right, which is not the case with Hispanics and African Americans.
Think about Trump, Coke, et cetera. Those are unique names. They're not going to be on a cross-check list. Correct. So this is very important, that it is all aimed, and the idea that Elon Musk can get his hands on all the voter files in every state and order them to do these matches, which are proven wrong. Wrong. And the courts have thrown it out before, but don't count on the courts to save us this time.
Yeah. Grim news.